Gentlemen, we have another episode of the podcast to record. Let nothing stand in our way. We start recording immediately.
What about dinner?
We start recording in 5 hours.
5 hours later.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood, the only podcast where each episode is somehow lamer than the one preceding it. My name is Patrick, and I am one of your hosts, and joining with me are my two co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
Hey there, my name is Red Drumarts. You know what else got flushed away? All my hopes and dreams.
Hi, I'm Lugia, and I don't know, I think our Spider-Man 3 episode was pretty good,
Yeah, so
bias aside.
we are going to get flushed into our movie today, or rather, before we flush into our movie today, let's talk about some entertainment news.
Yes, so they revealed some more shit from the animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, which I forgot was happening. Showed some stills. I think it's a very odd choice that they're keeping the book's character designs but giving them fleshy skin tones. But whatever, it's a choice, I guess.
Yeah, I saw some screenshots. The designs look weird in 3D. Sure, it's like 2.5D, like what the Peanuts movie did, but I don't know how well these designs work.
I
think it's
didn't even know that there was going to be a
Because-
series.
Because the Diary of a Wimpy Kid characters, let's face it, they're basically stick figures with more detail.
They're designed for black and white, and I think they should have just made it be black and white. Like,
Yeah. So
what kid's
I
gonna
don't,
honestly care?
I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out, but
Yeah, anyway, they finally showed off the Matrix 4 trailer. I think that looks pretty cool. Visually, especially, it looks really great.
How long has it been since the third movie?
Here to put it into frame. The gap of time between the Matrix and the Matrix 4 is the same gap of time as Star Wars and Phantom Menace, but basically 20 years. I noticed the color grading looks a lot more like the original Matrix, which, by the way, I guess we didn't talk about this in the Matrix episode, but did the version you guys watch have a green tint to it,
a little bit, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
like a heavy green tint? Because the actual
Heavy,
original
probably
version,
not.
No, it wasn't heavy, but it was noticeable.
yeah, because the original version of the Matrix was actually a very, very light green tint. But for some reason, for the DVD release of the Matrix, the green tint was made a lot more noticeable. I'm assuming to keep it more in lines with how the sequels kind of tinted it a bit more green. But yeah, Matrix 4 looks really cool. Don't know what it means. The story could be bad, but at least visually and direction-wise, it looks pretty standout compared to other movies.
Also, this past week, we got some wholesome news, actually, because Steve from Blue's Clues uploaded a video onto, I think, the Blue's Clues Twitter that talked about the whole reason he left the show way back in the day, and the internet kind of got
Cried.
emotional over that.
Everybody
Basically, yeah.
cried.
I was
I-
pretty indifferent to the tweet, honestly. Like, I don't know, I didn't really care that much.
I remember I liked Blue's Clues when I was younger. I didn't watch it religiously. I had a few VHS tapes, but that's about all I saw of it.
I saw it every now and then as a kid, but I remember liking Steve a lot instead of the new guy they got. What was his name? Joe?
Yeah.
I don't
Uh,
remember.
I like Blue's Clues, but I don't know. The video I thought was a bit weird. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. The memes are good though.
Yeah, when it said student loans, I was like, I'm not happy about student loans, but yeah, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so it was cute. Anyway, we got an update on the Bob's Burgers movie, and that is that it's finally has a new release date, which is this coming Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, which means it is going directly up against Top Gun Maverick. So it's a choice. Do you want Tom Cruise flying through the air, or do you want the Belchers? And I don't know. We don't have a plot synopsis yet, but
Yeah,
I
I
know, it's
did
something.
not know that they were making a Bob's Burgers movies, or at least
The
I
bit-
forgot. I heard about it, but I forgot that they did that.
they announced it a few years ago, but we literally don't know anything about it.
Wonder why they chose Bob's Burgers to make a movie. Like, they didn't
Because,
choose
well, it's
Family
not
Guy or King of the Hill.
popular. It's well
No, it's-
known.
It's a popular show. It's just like, I find it interesting that it took like the Simpson movie came out like years after the Simpsons lost its critical acclaim. They didn't make a Family Guy movie. like unless you want to count like the straight to DVD ones. They didn't make a
I
King of the Hill.
I don't count those.
They didn't make a King of the Hill movie, even though that was arguably like the most critically acclaimed sitcom they had. There was a South Park movie, so that's cool, I guess. But yeah,
Which is interesting that it came out only like a year and a half after the show started airing.
it was. I think it was like season 3 or something. It's like
That's
3 years.
that's fast.
Yeah.
It was a like I mean, as popular as SpongeBob was, it took 5 years for a movie to get out.
No, it also took SpongeBob 3 seasons.
Well, yeah, but I'm speaking in terms of years.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
In terms
enough.
of years, South Park started airing in '97. The movie came out in '99.
Ah. How about that?
That is
Uh,
a
I guess-
stupid short gap.
I guess Comedy Central, they didn't want to make the same mistake the Simpsons did, as in not making a movie.
Anyway, fans of the Beetlejuice musical rejoice because the show is returning to Broadway next year at a new theater. It initially ran at the Winter Garden Theater, but it is going to now play at the Marquise Theater. So
I
cool.
mean, why do they keep making musical adaptations of movies?
I don't know, but Lugia, didn't you see the Beetlejuice musical?
I did, and I'd recommend
it?
it. It's actually really good.
Yeah,
How did they
I know.
How did they tie the songs into it? Because I noticed a lot of musicals, they just kind of slap songs in. And they don't really like use the medium of theater.
That
to its advantage.
is
Some
that is a
do,
good
but some
point.
don't.
It has been a while since I last saw the musical. I think the musical numbers themselves were really good. How well they were integrated into the musical itself, I think they did a good job. I say I think because it has been a while, but if you like the movie or any other Beetlejuice media, I don't know, they made an animated TV show, who knows what the fuck else they did. You'll like this, without a doubt.
I know the Heathers musical did a pretty good job. In fact, a lot of people like the musical more than the movie. And same with the producers.
I might try to check out Beetlejuice when it reopens.
Yeah, I think you of all people would love it.
All right. So yeah, I'll try to see if I can get tickets to that.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to transfer like the set and everything, because from what I hear, they specifically chose the Winter Garden Theater for the first run because it was something about like the structure of the building. And didn't they also had to alter certain things about it, from what I understand? Because it's a very complex set, from what I hear.
I don't know.
I don't know. Look into it on your own time. I just heard something about the Winter Garden Theater was unique, that they needed to put the show on there.
Okay. Now the final bit of news is unfortunately an obituary. One of my favorite comedians, Norm Macdonald, passed away from cancer at age 61. You guys would probably know him for a stint on a Weekend Update on SNL, but he also played Colonel Sanders for a while. You might also know him as playing Norm in from the Fairly Odd Parents, the genie.
Yeah.
All right.
He also played Death on Family Guy, which is I wonder how Family Guy is gonna make a joke about that. But yeah, Norm Macdonald's great, one of my favorite comedians. Real shame that a lot of my favorite comedians seem to be in crisis this year. Fucking Trevor Moore earlier, and then Bob Odenkirk.
Anyway, before we actually jump into this, one thing I think it's worth mentioning is that as of the time of this recording, this past week was marked 20 years since the events of September 11th. My heart goes out to everybody who knew someone who was a victim of the attacks. We will never forget. It was a dark day for America and the world. So, that does it for the entertainment news. Let us get flushed away with... Well, flushed away. Okay, so this movie released in 2006 and was the third and final co-production between DreamWorks and Aardman. You'll probably recognize Aardman as the studio behind Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, and they also did Arthur Christmas. Don't forget that one.
And Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah.
Which I think Shaun the Sheep is a spin-off of Wallace and Gromit, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. So
Yeah.
they've done a lot of great stuff. Fun fact: initially Aardman signed on to a 5-film deal with DreamWorks, but due to creative differences as well as Flushed Away's underwhelming financial box office returns, the two studios split ways. So
Yeah.
they only released 3 movies. So
Yeah, see,
for each
this
other.
movie's production kind of put it in a much more precarious situation compared to Aardman's other movies. Aardman's other movies are in claymation, but this was their first CGI film. And
The reason for that is because water is very difficult, nearly impossible to work with in stop motion.
yeah,
And this is a
so
film that takes place in the sewers, and there's a lot of water in the sewers.
The
so-
title of the movie should give it away. Flushed.
it was done in CG out of necessity, but unfortunately, as a result, the budget was significantly higher than any of Aardman's previous films, and because of that, it needed to be a lot, need to make a lot more money to be considered a success. And I'm assuming that it's being kind of lukewarm financially is what led to the dissolved relationship.
This film was directed by David Bowers and Sam Fell. After this movie, David Bowers would go on to direct the 2009 American adaptation of Astro Boy, as well as the Diary of a Wimpy Kid films. Well, except for the first one, he only directed the sequels. As for Sam Fell, he would go on to direct The Tale of Despero, and he would also co-direct Paranorman, which is
Wow.
actually a stop-motion film.
Hmm.
So he went from a film mimicking stop-motion to an actual stop-motion film. Neat.
Although I personally feel that Leica's stop motion are so smooth, it looks more like real life than stop motion. So that's kind of funny. So he went from a studio that uses stop motion to mimic full 3D, and then he worked at a full 3D
Leica.
trying to mimic stop motion. So
Actually, two other fun facts about this movie is that apparently it was originally going to be about pirates, but that idea was changed because apparently at the time there was no market for pirate movies. This was before Pirates of the Caribbean.
no,
mind
this
you.
was not.
This
No,
was after.
production of the film started before Pirates of the Caribbean released.
The production of this movie started in the 90s.
It started in the early 2000s, from what I've read.
Pirates of the Caribbean came out in like 2001.
Came out in 2003.
Shit, it did. Damn, that's a
It
lot later
did.
than I thought it was. Wait,
Uh,
Curse of the Black Pearl. Oh
Well, I
shit,
mean-
that is 2003.
Aardman did eventually release a pirate movie, so I guess
Yeah,
it
they
kind of
did.
comes. I guess it kind of comes full circle.
Yeah,
You just had to
Well,
wait
pi-
for Disney.
I actually
Yeah.
like that pirate movie more. It's a pretty good movie.
And one last fun fact: apparently, early trailers for the film showed that there were two gerbils who were Roddy's servantsmen, but they were removed from the final cut to make him look more alone and less spoiled. And what's funny is that apparently, I have the Flushed Away video game, and the servants are in the video game, which is kind of weird.
That's
but
because
whatever.
a lot of these video game tie-ins, they don't. The movie's obviously not done, so
I
they just
know,
kind of
but-
get a bunch of like random information about it, and if there's a change, game studio ain't going to be able to make the change in time, so they just kind of roll with it.
You know, the Flushed Away game, it's been years since I've played it, but I remember there were a lot of weird inclusions. Like, I remember one of the villains in the game is a spider, like a spider queen.
That wasn't in the movie.
There's also this, I don't know, like this rat who, like, speaks in Confucius quotes,
Huh.
and every mission you do for him, you have to get him flies, like a jar full of flies. I don't know. The game was odd. I don't know. But that's besides the point. We're not talking about the video game. We are talking about the movie.
Alright.
So what is Flushed Away about? Well, very simple. There's this rat who belongs to a rich family. The rat's name is Ruddy St. James of Kensington. He's living a pretty okay life, but then suddenly this sewer rat bursts through the pipes and decides that he is going to take over the house. So, in an attempt to try to get the sewer rat out of the house, Roddy accidentally gets flushed down the toilet. Well, okay, not accidentally; it was intentional on the sewer rat's end. But whatever. The point is, Roddy is well beneath the sewers of Kensington.
Anyway, then Roddy lands into a city that's in the sewers with lots of frogs and rat people.
And he gets mixed up in this whole thing with toads and another rat and a boat and also a jewel and a
A
cable.
fake ruby.
Yeah, a fake glass ruby cable. Basically, it's a classic Indiana Jones type adventure movie. Shit, the main girl is basically Lara Croft.
Basically, rat from a wealthy household gets flushed down the toilet and tries to get back and gets caught up in an adventure.
And then he goes back down.
Yeah, it's a solid kids movie. You know, nothing really amazing, but you know, the solid storyline. You know, got a solid arc.
I would agree. This movie it doesn't do anything amazing. It's not groundbreaking in any way, but I think like as a comedy, it does its job pretty well.
I think the movie works, and that's about it. Again, like you said, it doesn't do anything groundbreaking. I don't think a lot of the jokes landed for me, though. I'll admit, I did not find this very funny.
Well, it's got a
Really?
very British sense of humor. I'm into a lot of British comedies, so I think British humor kind of lands with me stronger.
Are there any
One-
jokes that you did find funny?
I did like the Batman transition that they did at one
Oh, I
point. That
love
that came out of
joke.
nowhere, but I like that one a lot.
That was a great joke.
There's probably a couple others that I'm trying to think of. Nothing's coming up in my head though.
Yeah.
There were attempts at humor. In fact, I did like when they used different objects for human purposes. Like this movie's very creative with what they use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the set design is, I think, like the real highlight of the animation. Like the actual character animation, whatever. But the set design is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the character
the
animations though, oof.
Actually, no,
Well-
character animation is fine. It's the rendering. Like it's
Yeah.
dated. Like the
Have you seen the human models?
yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
food fight tier trash.
Yeah,
the,
but
the
it's
models and
only-
rendering are a bit iffy, but that's it.
Yeah, but that was like 15 seconds. That was like
It
we
was.
never
I
see them
still
again.
noticed it.
I know, but
Age hit me like a truck with that.
yeah, I will admit that even by 2006 standards, the animation isn't great. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's not the
acceptable.
strongest.
It was
Yeah.
acceptable for the time.
I do
So-
think though that I do think what it lacks in rendering it makes up for in its creativity. Like this is the first time I'm seeing this movie in a few years. There are so many background details that I never noticed, and like I found myself rewinding certain scenes just to look for things in the background.
Oh yeah, did you guys
It's-
notice the Grommet Pez dispenser in the boat?
Yes,
I
I
did.
did. Yeah, it is better than better animated than like Hoodwinked. I think Hoodwinked has a stronger script, but it's much better animated than Hoodwinked. So with Flushed Away, one detail I thought was interesting was I found at some points the animation looked a bit lower frame rate, which I think they were doing because they wanted to mimic the claymation.
Yeah, I
feel.
noticed, especially with the frogs. Like the movement of the frogs, especially, was choppy.
I noticed the with the rat characters specifically, the their mouths were like moving at a very low frame rate, which
Yeah,
I
I
think
noticed that
is meant
too.
to mimic stop motion animation. I think it works. It can
Yeah,
be
I think it looks
distracting
good.
though.
I think low frame rate animation looks good, and I don't really get people that complain about it. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's just a preference, but I don't know. I think it looks good.
People like
Yeah, they had-
Spider Verse. I mean, it works.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
weird
like-
thing. When Spider-Verse trailer first came out, everyone was complaining about the frame rate in the comments. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys? Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, what the fuck are you guys on? This is the greatest piece of animation I've ever seen in my life. But yeah,
The lower frame rate is a nice touch to try to keep the stop motion look. I do wish that the film kind of stuck with it because like a lot of the character animation is fairly smooth. I think it would have been cool if they kind of kept the movements choppy to go along with it. But I mean, as is, it's fine.
let's see.
I mean,
I
like,
think
aside from the animation, what else we got?
Actually, wait, there's one thing about the animation. One more thing about the animation I want to say. This movie has done something that very few animation has done, and that's truly show me something that I could never see in real life. And what this movie showed me that I could never see in real life is Hugh Jackman playing a twink. It was just so funny seeing Hugh Jackman playing like a skinny, dorky dude when, you know, every other role he has ever had, he's this fucking jacked up Adonis of a man. But yeah, plot wise, I thought the first act kind of reminded me of Toy Story a bit. Just like
Yeah, I can see that.
It's kind of like a fish out
Yeah.
of water story.
yeah, it's like if instead of Woody knocking over Buzz, it was Buzz that knocked over Woody, and also Buzz didn't feel guilt and tried to save him. So yeah,
Yeah, even Roddy kind of reminds me of Toy Story. I don't know, something about the way he looks kind of reminds me of Woody. I don't know what it is. Maybe because he's tall and skinny. And kind of the
Plastic
eyes.
It looks like you
classic
could eat a
guy.
fucking sandwich.
Actually, one thing about this movie I never understood, even as a kid, is why at the end of the opening montage, why does he go to sleep in his tux?
What else is? Oh yeah.
He,
Fair
he
enough.
had a bathrobe on in the beginning, and I'm like,
You don't sleep in a bathrobe.
I know, but I mean, like, it makes more sense than a tuxedo.
So he can wake up in style.
Maybe it's
I
a British
guess, but-
thing.
I
Yep.
felt that Roddy and what's the fat rat's character again? What's his name?
Spike?
No, Sid, I think.
Whatever. Those
The,
two.
the sewer rat. We know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I felt that they kind of remind me of like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in like one of those like the Cornetto trilogy movies. Like I feel like that's who it was written for. Like this reminded me of like Hot Fuzz almost. I know there was a large amount of jokes involving what's the female rat's name again?
Rita.
Yeah, a lot of jokes involving Rita's ass. Like an unusual amount. Like
One of the
or
main plot
two,
points
it
is
was
her using
fine.
a cable as a belt.
Like 1 or 2 times, fine. There were like 7 jokes about her ass.
Speaking of jokes, oh sorry, did you have more?
No, I was just gonna say the writer is clearly an ass man. All right, go on.
Okay. I was gonna say, actually, what I find interesting about this movie is that I counted. There are 2 burp jokes, two poop jokes, and only 1 fart joke. For a
Hmm.
movie that's about a guy getting flushed down a toilet, that is surprising restraint.
He's
There's a
British.
couple crotch jokes in there too. I don't know how many though.
It mostly veers away from toilet humor.
I like the little bits of Hugh Jackman singing throughout the movie. Talk
Yeah, it's
about
when he's,
Hugh
when he's on the rubber
Jackman.
deck.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman is very clearly a man that wanted to be a musical theater dude and somehow ended up playing Wolverine for like 20 years.
Well, speaking of Hugh Jackman, this movie does have a pretty legit cast. I mean, you got Hugh Jackman, you got Kate Winslet, Ian McKellen, Andy Serkis, Bill Nighy. These are big names.
Yeah, the performances are pretty good. I'm gonna talk about Hugh Jackman just one more time, but Roddy is, let's be real, he is a shitty person, and I feel like the only reason he remains likable is because Hugh Jackman really, sells the performance.
I mean, Hugh Jackman is a great actor. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if it was a lesser actor, I feel like I just wouldn't have liked Roddy at all. I
Roddy
thought he
just
was
would have
kind
been
of
a
an
pampered
asshole.
bitch.
Yeah, he's kind of an asshole.
We'll say in terms of like things I didn't like about the movie, I will say that whole misunderstanding between Roddy and Rita around the middle doesn't really add much. He overhears a conversation. He thinks that Rita is gonna hand him over to the Toad so she can get money.
Patrick,
That doesn't really go anywhere.
Patrick,
Yeah.
it's a 2000s DreamWorks movie. They always have to have the gang split up partway through for no fucking reason.
No, this
of a
no,
falling
this
out.
is this is
Creating
different.
conflict.
Guys, this is different. This is the middle of the movie, and it's like 5 minutes before like they put all their differences aside and they team up again.
They needed a reason for Roddy and Rita to be alone on the boat because I think the assumption was that like her dad or family was gonna like tag along or whatever to help. So I think they just needed like really just want to get the plot moving. So yeah.
I guess, but I mean, sure you could have found whatever.
I
Other
like
than that, I really don't have much to complain about. Again, nothing amazing in this movie, but I think for what it does a pretty solid job.
One
I think
thing
my
that did bother me, and this is really minor, but at the beginning where the title cards were showing up in the opening credits, did you notice how they just popped up for a second and then just popped out?
Yeah.
That bothered me, and I don't know why. Like, it was also on screen for a very brief period of time, like 1 second. Even the title. And I'm like, who edited this and why?
I will confess that whenever I hear Dancing with Myself, I immediately think of this movie.
I forgot that song
Nothing
was
will-
in this movie. It's been years since I've
nothing-
seen this.
Nothing will ever change that. I will always think of this movie.
Yeah, this has a pretty good soundtrack.
It does. I was actually surprised on the song choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my favorite character is probably the French frog.
The frog.
Le Frog.
The
Le
frog.
Bonjour. Oh,
Yeah,
le
the frog. The
cuisine.
frog. LaFrog and Whitey are my two personal favorites.
I forget who Whitey
think
was.
Whitey
The
is
albino,
the big dumb
stupid
rat.
Yeah, the
White
stupid
rat.
rat. Yeah, he was funny. Yeah, but yeah.
Also,
all right.
speaking of LaFrog, I think one of my favorite moments in the movie is when they do the video call with the Toad, and like it's a video call, but like there's a mime that's holding up the phone and performing all the hand.
That was
movements for
another one of the
Toad.
gags I liked. I forgot
Yeah,
about
that was really creative.
One more thing. The slugs are pretty much the exact same as the fish in the Lorax, but better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the
yeah.
fish and the Lorax were just trying to be like the minions. So
I was just gonna say, I've heard some people compare this movie to Ratatouille, simply because they came out within like a year of each other. They're really nothing alike.
No, they
Yeah, this
each
is
have
more
different
like-
morals too.
they both
guess
have rats, and you know what? That is racially motivated. Just
They're both-
because they're both star rats, that doesn't mean that they're the same. Racist.
They both came out within a year of each other, and the only similarity between them is that they're both about rats who get transported via a sewer to a new location.
Yeah.
That's
Outside
it.
of that, they are completely different.
Yeah, this movie is
Yeah.
more comparable to like fucking Madagascar or
Toy Story,
Uh,
as you said before.
yeah, you know what? I want to say Toy Story 4 kind of took more from this because Toy Story 4 is like, oh, say Bo Peep is like Rita, and then Woody is like Roddy here.
Well, then who's
and then,
Forky?
I'm gonna be honest, I forgot Forky was in Toy Story 4 because all I could think of was like Woody and Bo Peep's sort of arc, and
Well,
Woody
it is
choosing not to
really
go
about
home.
them. It is
That's
really
the
about
thing.
them.
Woody chose not to go home, just like how Roddy here chooses to not go home. You better lawyer up, Pixar, you stupid bitch, because Aardman's gonna sue your asses off. Okay.
Is there anything else we want to add?
Pretty good movie. Ranking wise, I'd say this is better than Departed. Fuck you, Martin Scorsese.
I guess that's about it when it comes to other nitpicks I have. I'd probably give this a 6 out of 10 too. This was the opposite of Surf's Up for me. And if you don't remember, I don't blame you. But that was a movie I thought was better when I rewatched it for the podcast. This is the opposite. I feel like this got worse with age. It's not bad. It wasn't really anything outstanding either. And once again, age hits me like a truck, so
Yeah.
I like to think of this movie as like good junk food. Like it's not amazing.
it's decent.
Yeah, it has some good substance to it. Again, I think for me the humor is what elevates it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this movie also kind of reminds me of Cars, just because of Roddy and Lightning McQueen's arcs kind of being the same.
Okay, yeah, I guess this is like a lot of animated films out there, but it entertained me.
It's got its own little like unique Aardman touch to it because
Yeah.
you know what, Aardman's other movies don't have really traditional stories. Wallace and Gromit, that's fucking weird. Chicken Run is like a fucking prison break war movie. It's like The Great Escape, but with chickens and for children.
And I
And
mean,
then-
Flushed Away did come out in the mid 2000s, and let's be real, there's a lot of nostalgic movies for us from that era.
Yeah,
Everything
unfortunately,
was
not
weird
a
in
lot
the
of them are
2000s,
good.
let's be real.
Yeah, so
Well,
I don't know.
well,
Maybe
what's
I'm
the
biased. Maybe
deal?
I'm biased for this one because I kind of
What-
grew up with it, but I still enjoyed myself.
What's the deal with beeline food? Okay.
All right, so yeah, Flushed Away.
Yeah, Flushed Away. So if you liked Flushed Away, some other movies you can check out, or all the kids' movies we just mentioned, and also all of Aardman's other movies. I particularly remember the Pirates one and Arthur Christmas because I feel they give similar vibes to this. They're also better. In fact,
I feel
Arthur
like Aardman
Christmas
should.
is
I feel like
great.
Aardman should acknowledge Arthur Christmas more.
Arthur
like-
Christmas is generally one of their best movies.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely one of the few Christmas movies I actually rewatch. I don't rewatch many Christmas movies. Like I'd say like that are specifically for Christmas, you know. I'm
Like
I'm
it's
not gonna count Die Hard. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but you know what? I watch Die Hard in the summer, all right? You know, shut up.
That's on
Yeah,
you.
what's weird is that studios a lot of the time when they say like from the creators of, they acknowledge like their most financially successful movies and not the ones people like the most.
Yeah.
Because they
like,
want
whenever-
money.
from the
I don't know, like, what-
director of Shark Tale. I'm like, who the fuck wants to see another work from the director of Shark Tale?
I don't know, like I liked Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run as much as the next guy, but come on, acknowledge Arthur Christmas. It's great.
Yeah, my picks for Christmas movies is basic bitch choice. I watch Home Alone like every year. Honestly, Home Alone is probably my favorite Christmas movie if I'm being like completely honest with myself. You know what? We haven't done a question segment in a while. That's your question. What's your guys' favorite Christmas movie?
I'd probably say A Christmas Story.
I say that's interesting. I know everyone considers A Christmas Story a classic. I've always been lukewarm on it. I enjoy it, but I don't know.
Okay,
know
you know
what?
what? Fuck you. Die Hard.
Yeah, I love Die Hard's a 10 out of 10 movie, like one of my favorite. Have we all seen Die Hard?
I've seen the first one.
I've
Yeah.
not seen Die Hard, any of them.
All right. One of these days you need to watch Die Hard because I want to talk about Die Hard 3, but I don't want it to be a double feature. I just want to talk about 3. Not this episode though, not this
Yeah,
episode.
I duly noted. I'll
Yeah.
try to watch when I have more time. I'll watch Die
Yeah.
Hard.
What was that one like thing you made me watch Christmas related? Christmas Story Live? Do you remember that?
That was a thing?
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
thing.
I went to Patrick's house to watch that, and it was bizarre. There was one joke in it I really liked. The one at the very end, when they go to the Chinese restaurant, they sing it perfectly, and obviously the characters are like, "Oh, you sing it perfectly." And then Ken Jeong's like, "What did you expect was gonna happen?" Like in a judging tone. That was hilarious. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't watched a Christmas Story live since its first broadcast. I mean, I know people hate it. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fair
it's
enough.
fine. I like the music.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say my favorite Christmas movie is actually Tokyo Godfathers
What?
by Satoshi Kon. It's basically about a bunch of homeless people that find a baby and take care of it on Christmas. A bunch of really cool intertwining stories. It's from Satoshi Kon, who directed Paprika, which later got ripped off when making Inception, and he also made Perfect Blue, which has been stolen so many times it's crazy. But yeah, Tokyo Godfathers. I highly recommend that one if you're in a Christmas mood. Why are we
well-
talking about Christmas?
I don't know.
It is currently September 15th when we're recording
don't know.
this.
I know when winter
Yeah.
comes around, we're all gonna request
Yeah.
Christmas movies of some kind. So
Yeah,
we'll
we
save
need-
it for
We
we'll
need to
save it
start.
for then.
We need to start loading up on some horror movies. Huh? It's gonna be
I mean, we've done a couple already.
yeah,
Yeah, but I
know,
mean, Halloween is coming up.
Halloween, baby. Like when Halloween comes around, you guys need to remind me to recommend a Sam Raimi movie because Sam Raimi is like my favorite horror guy, and Sam Raimi is like my favorite director, and he's like an iconic horror director. Anyway,
Anyway, it's your
it's
turn.
your turn.
Red.
yes, time for this week. Oh wait, one more Christmas movie, 2 more actually. Muppets Christmas Carol is the best version of the Christmas Carol. I don't know if Rise of the Guardians counts as a Christmas movie, but it's pretty good.
From what I remember, that movie takes place around Easter. Actually, I don't know. It's
about Jack Frost.
I know, but it's set. From what I remember, it's set during Easter. But I could just be speaking bullshit. I haven't seen that movie since I first saw it in theaters.
All right.
So
I'm going to bring up the.
I don't know. Rise of the Guardians fans in the comment section, please tell me how wrong I am.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
one more Christmas movie actually, The Polar
Gee, we keep-
Express.
We keep going with this.
Yeah.
You know what?
We keep
Fuck
it.
going with
Stop.
Polar
Christmas
Express.
stuff.
I don't like the Polar Express, honestly. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion.
Polar Express is
People say
flawed,
it's
but
aged.
It's
Um,
flawed for sure, but I can't help it. I love it.
I
Klaus
grew
is a
up with it. I don't hate it. It's just it
Klaus
has
is a-
aged though.
Dude, Polar Express has two of my favorite things when I was a kid: trains and Christmas. That's all I needed.
Are you telling me hot chocolate wasn't one of them?
Okay, make that three things.
There you go.
Trains, hot chocolate, and Christmas. What more do I need?
The Charlie Brown peanut specials. I fucking love Charlie Brown on Christmas, man. That shit was gas. Klaus, that's pretty good. That's basically Emperor's New Groove. Is Gremlins? That's a Christmas movie. Fucking Gremlins. Love Gremlins.
All right, I think we're
Um,
getting carried away now.
All right, all right.
Yeah,
Just
all right,
one
just
more,
what do you
one
got
more
for us?
question. Just one more question.
All right, shoot.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Christmas movie or Halloween movie?
Thanksgiving movie, because it's in between.
Yeah, but no one watches it on Thanksgiving, all right? There are 2 Thanksgiving movies. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Spider-Man 1.
All right, fine. It's a November 1st movie. It's a Day of the Dead movie.
All right, fair.
Because,
Uh,
I mean, Jack Skellington is dead.
Jack Skellington is now
And,
officially...
you know department stores on November 1st or 2nd. It's like Halloween never happened. And it takes place, it's at the start of the movie, it's Halloween, and then it's Christmas. So
Listen,
it's a November movie. I've always counted it as a November movie. Fight me.
All I got from this conversation is that Jack Skellington is Latino.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think Nightmare Before Christmas is a good November movie.
Yes. So anyway,
because it's that sweet spot.
So for next week or whenever we record this episode, I am recommending the David Lynch movie, Blue Velvet. I want to talk about David Lynch, and I was initially going to do Mulholland Drive, but I figured Blue Velvet would actually make more sense as an introductory movie. I have not seen Blue Velvet. This is just from hearsay. But yeah, I figured, we've done a couple light, fun movies. Let's throw in something fucking weird, and let's talk about a director we haven't talked about yet, huh? Besides,
damn, this is actually our first Lynch film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fucking what else? Have you guys ever seen a David Lynch movie?
I might have, or I might be confusing that with Hitchcock. What else has he
done?
The Elephant Man.
I've not seen The Elephant Man.
I'm gonna
I've seen
take
the
a
play
look.
version, but not the movie.
Eraserhead.
Nope.
Twin Peaks?
No.
I really like The Straight Story. That Disney movie about the guy on the lawnmower. David Lynch, surprisingly, did direct that one. A lot of people don't know that.
What movie is that?
The Straight Story. The one about the dude on the lawnmower who goes to visit his cousin or whatever.
That does not sound familiar. I know Disney movies. That does not sound...
Yeah, I'm looking at the list, and I'm not seeing any of his works that I've seen.
A retired farmer in Woodrow in his 70s, Alvin Straight learns one day that his distant brother Lyle has suffered from a stroke and may not recover. Alvin is determined to make things right with his brother while he still can, but his brother lives in Wisconsin while Alvin is in Iowa, and he has no car and no driver's license. So he makes a trip on his old lawnmower, and yeah, it's a road trip movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster right now. This does not look familiar to me.
Oh, well, I absolutely love it. I think it's actually my favorite of Lynch's works I've seen so far. Granted, I've only seen The Straight Story and The Elephant Man and the first season of Twin Peaks. Yeah. Anyway, one of Lynch's movies is actually getting remade into Dune.
Oh, he directed the original Dune?
He directed the original Dune.
Neat.
For some reason, don't really know why. Oh, fun fact about David Lynch is that Mel Brooks actually produced. Mel Brooks is basically the reason that David Lynch has a career because he produced his early films. He didn't put his name on it because he didn't want people to think that it was a comedy, but he did produce it, like behind the scenes. He just kept his name off it because he didn't want to kneecap David Lynch's career because the dude made fucking horror movies.
All right, so next week, Blue Velvet.
Yes, I think this counts as a horror movie. I'm not sure.
It says mystery/thriller.
All right. Hopefully this is... You know what? Just based on what I've seen of David Lynch's work, go in with the same mentality you went in when you saw The Handmaiden. Because
expect weird.
Yes, it's going to be weird, potentially disturbing. I don't know if there's going to be gay sex, but there might be gay sex.
All right, duly noted.
We'll see.
We will see.
We'll see.
All right.
So
next week.
So until next time, this has been It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. Bon voyage, me old cream cracker.